Well, after my mistake, I'm glad that at least you're like, you know what? I'll get on with this idiot in a half hour. We'll be fine. It'll be okay. We're
It will be.
good.
Right
Yeah.
on. Good to see
Oh,
you.
yeah. Good to see you too. It's been a while. I think the last time that we talked, my grandma died.
Yeah, yeah. That's true.
And that was a while
That was
ago.
yeah, you were single.
I was with Shelb and I. We've been
Well, I know
together.
you were with her. I don't think you were married yet though.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah. And now I got a kid.
I know.
Yeah, it's
You did that
fun, man.
fast, dude.
Uh, yeah, learning a lot. Hey, speaking of which, this is Rick Jordan. Welcome to episode 6 of Investor Hill.
Oh, I
Thanks for
love it.
tuning in. Rick, you run this show.
I do. All in with Rick Jordan. Yep.
That's right. That's right.
It's been
Got the
fun, man.
so okay. We're here to talk about crappy investments that you've made.
Yeah.
We're here to talk
That's
about
exciting.
just I know. We're
Well,
here to
let's
talk
relive
about
the trauma.
yeah, that's right. That's exactly what the show is for. That's right. No, I actually just want to hear some of the confessions, some of the sins. I don't know if you've seen anything of the show of Investor Hell, but basically, I want you to help at future investors. That's what I
Yeah.
want. And I want you to want that too. I know that you're a very caring individual. I was driving on the way home today, and I just thought to myself, you know what? Rick's a cool dude. Have you ever like done a deal on the air with anybody?
I've donated on the air if that counts towards that.
Sure,
Not
fair enough.
necessarily. I mean, it's kind of that way. Like there was one I had a guest on, and she was just incredible. I mean, really stirred my heart. So you want to say I invested. I mean, that's kind of what it is, right? Because you're investing into people's lives, and she helps battered women. So as she was talking about this, of course, nonprofits, they require investments or donations to run what they're doing, just like any other kind of business. Even if they're not in it to make money, it still requires capital. No, on the air, it's like, I mean, towards the end of it, it was like, you know what? She was a guest on my show, right? And I'm just saying, this was amazing. Thank you for coming on. I just want to let you know that I'm going to be giving you $5,000. And she's like, what? I mean, at first, that was literally, well, you've been on my show, right? And at the end, it's like, tell everybody where they can find you, So we're going through all of the normal stuff to close out the show. And like, it's been so powerful today. And by the way, I'm going to give you $5,000. And it was like, it's not nonchalant like that. And she was taken back. I'm like, I hope you heard me. She goes, I think I did, but is that for real? I'm like, yeah, that's real. You've really moved me today. And she just broke down in tears, man. I mean, my whole team did, and it's like, in the moment, it's like, I wasn't going for the reaction of everybody being like, Rick, you're so awesome for doing that. It's like, no, it's like the person that I just brought on is the awesome one. And I'm literally just trying to show her how amazing that she is because
Ah,
of what she's trying to do for other people. So please shed the tears of joy for all the people that she's going to help.
well, that doesn't sound like a bad investment.
That wasn't. No.
Yeah,
You just
yeah,
asked what deal did I do on the air?
yeah.
That's the
That's
one
right.
I'm
That's
yeah.
right. That's right. Well, that's cool. My brain goes to like, well, were they all bakers? Here
Were
you
they?
are like, battered women. Okay. Anyway, sorry, just trying to lighten the mood, folks.
Yeah, we could talk about bad investments. How about the dude that stood up in my wedding that I was originally my business partner and screwed me out of dollars to get his mortgage out of foreclosure. And by the way, this is not a victim mindset. This is just facts, right? And then later on, I ended up buying him out, which was an investment from hell. Even though we had already split ways, it's like I saw that I'm like, you got this book of business. No, it's like I'm trying to build my IT business, and he had an IT business. It wasn't a lot of money. I mean, he was back in foreclosure with his home. I mean, this was like a 7-year gap between when I started as business partners with him, and that only lasted maybe 4 months because of the difficulties. And then 7 years later, I'm like, dude, you're still having troubles. I'm still trying to maintain this friendship. How about I just buy you? And it'll help you because you're looking for a job already. You're getting out of this whole entrepreneurship thing. Like, how about I just buy you? I don't see you being worth a lot because he's like, I don't think I can sell you. I don't think I'm worth a lot. I'm like, I know you're not worth a lot, but I'm here to try to help you. So what I value is your domain name, your phone number, and your client list. And I think that that could help, you know. So if you're talking like 2 months of expenses to keep you on your feet, it's like 15K, you know. So I'm investing into this, dude. I earned not a single dollar from that customer list, not a single dollar, because it turned out that he still had a second organization, right? And I didn't. This was stupid. This is like the first acquisition deal I ever made. I was retarded in doing this because that's not going to get edited, but I love it, you know. But that's I was a stupid investor because I'm sitting there looking at this guy. I'm like, I got the money. I'm just going to throw him the 15K. Most of those customers, to help him make some more money, he shifted over to this other entity that he had already started. So I got the data and all that. I'm calling like, no, no, no. We still have somebody to help us. We've been with that person for years. It's like, what am I going to do? Because I mean, 15K is not a lot of money to put legal action towards. It's a
Yeah.
lot of money when you're starting out, but I mean, most people when they think about investing, they're thinking about putting, you know, like $500 into Bitcoin or something like that. You know, even smaller amounts. That's what
Yeah.
the typical investments are. So I don't know who the audience is, but if it's like everyday investors that are on like Robinhood or Coinbase or whatever else, you know, they're just starting into it. 15K is not the place to start into it, you know, especially when you don't do any kind of diligence or whatever. You know, there's other ones along the way. You know, I put in another small one, like $10,000. This was about a year ago, and it was on a crowdfunding deal, right? And I still haven't gotten my deliverables at, because like the highest level was like $2,500 on this thing. You know, they were doing it was through what's the crowdfunding platform
Like
that everybody uses?
Kickstarter,
Yeah, Republic. That
Seed and
was it.
Spark. There you go.
Yep. And so I'm on there and I'm like, cool, I believe in this. It's like I met them at this event. I've known them for 2 years. They're really, really brilliant people. I'm going to go after this thing. And, you know, they've got like 100, 250, 500, and you're getting like I mean, crowdfunding for anybody who's ever done it, you know, that there's like different value adds the
Yeah.
higher you go typically, you know, like one, you might get like a t-shirt if you do $100 or something, you know, you'll get
That's an expensive t-shirt,
I
yo.
know, right? But that's how they do it, right? It's almost like a Russell Brunson funnel, you know. It's like,
Yeah.
but buy spend $100, you know you're paying for the shipping. Your shipping's $100 for the T-shirt or whatever, but it's $100, you know, entry level. Then it's $250. You might get the T-shirt and a mug, right? Like you got, you know. But then it's like $1,000. You get like a 15-minute consultation in what you're going to do, you know. And then I
Ooh.
know. Exactly. But I mean, there was more stuff, but then it was 2,500 was the highest level that they had pre-chosen. And it was like it was some extended things. I'm like, that's great for the value. I'm like, I could use some of those things. But when it comes to investing, it's like you're not looking for those intangibles, like those value adds, the cherries on top. You know, so I'm like, I believe in this company. I see where they're looking to go. I see how they're looking to exit in 2 years, you know, because their valuation was like 6 million, and it actually looked like they had a clear path to having around a $700 million buyout. And it's because they had intellectual property. They had a couple of patents on this, you know, which anything with patents, I mean, that legitimizes stuff, you know,
So
at least
unlike
usually.
your wedding friend, these
Yeah,
folks seemed like they knew what they were doing.
exactly. At least on the surface, you know. And here it is. It's about a year and a half later, and you know, instead of, you know, 6 million, they might be worth like 7 million. So maybe I made a little on that, but you know, all those value adds, like, dude, I still haven't got my T-shirt. I was supposed to get.
Get Rick his
I
friggin'
know.
t-shirt.
Yep, exactly. Or that 1 hour like strategy session or whatever it was that was added into it.
Yeah.
It's it's
I love how you just come out right out of the gate, just be like, well, this and then this. Well, so let me ask you, the
yeah,
redemption story. What's the I always go, if since you haven't seen the show, I always talk about like sins, like your own personal sins: pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, sloth, gluttony, the seven deadly investment sins.
yeah,
So what is it about those deals that you did that you actually made a mistake on? Was it the fact that you didn't do enough due diligence? Because I know there's a lot of people who are like, I didn't do enough due diligence. That was
yeah.
my major sin. What do you think is one of the major sins that you don't normally talk about, that was just like you continue to beat yourself up over, that if you just learn this one thing of not being so, figuring out these stupid sinful deals, you would
Yeah, yeah.
have that redemption story that that would really just catapult you to the top.
For sure. I think it was different for each of those two, and I'll examine both of those as far as the sins on those. First off, if I use the previous one as an example, right, the $10,000 crowdfunding thing, there's something I've noticed about people that have invested in my company too. The ones that'll spend $100 or buy $500 worth of shares or whatever it is, the ones who pretty much spend next to nothing or do the bare minimum, they're the ones that will be calling you all the time. Hey, how's it going? How's it going? How's it going? How's my investment doing? How's my investment doing?
Yeah.
And it's like, where are you going? What's happening today? Did you close anything today? How about next month? What's your revenue outlook for this year? Hey, how can I get my money out? I think I want to do this other investment. So how can I get my money? It's like, you can't. That was the deal of the thing at the time. But you take a look back and it's like, okay, I see that. But similarly to this one, it's like the larger investors that I have, I never hear from. It's because they were like bought into what I was doing and they trust it. And I'm the one that's actively going out to them maybe once a quarter or once every 6 months and just some small investor relations and saying, hey, I just want to let you know this is what's going on. We've got some exciting stuff. We went through maybe a rough period for 2 months, but then we were able to regroup and now we're even accelerating faster than what we were. I just wanted like, all right, well, thanks for letting me know. Hey, how about we do lunch sometime? It's like, yeah, okay, you know what, maybe. These are the large investors. And that was how I felt about this one, because even though like that highest level for that crowdfunding thing was 2,500, it's like, I really believe in this. I'm going to put in 10K. And then there's small ones that, I mean, there was like hundreds. That's the purpose of crowdfunding, right? That we're doing $100 each, like the lowest level. And here's me up at 10K. It's like prior to our conversation right now, I don't talk about it because I know it's still there. And it was money that it's like, cool, maybe they can still do something, but it's like I'm comparing myself to like the larger investors that I've had in Reach Out that are doing several $100,000. It's all the relative levels compared to the other size of investments in the organization. It's like I don't talk about it. I'd still like my T-shirt, but it's like if it pans out, because I
What?
didn't do.
Hang on. What do the t-shirts say? I'll get it
I
made
don't
and I'll
know.
just send it to you.
Yeah, you'll do Etsy or what's that other thing? I don't know.
I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
thanks, Mark.
I'll send you a Nascent's t-shirt for free.
Oh yeah, that'll
There you
work.
go.
It's that one. I don't know if I did anything wrong per se. I just think that it was a bad move, because it looked like they had everything in line. And I mean, I know this is investor hell, but it's like you look back. So when you think about it, even though I was relatively one of the larger investors, I think, oh yeah, it's like a year later. I wonder how it's doing. And it's like, I got other shit to handle right now, and I just don't. But it's like my big investors, it's the same thing. It's like it's sort of inconsequential. Whereas so there wasn't greed, there wasn't gluttony or any of the seven deadly sins involved in that. I feel like I really invested in that for the right reasons, is because I saw the potential and it's something that I actually believed in. It's like I could grab onto it. It was not money based whatsoever. Of course, any investment you want to make money off of. You always hope it's like a good one, right? So even if it does, that huge valuation, whatever, it's like I'm going to walk away with maybe 500K. That's some good ROI. 10K to 500K, that's a good investment. But it's like what they needed right now. And I've had some of my larger investors come back and be like, oh my gosh, because at one point I sold shares in like the seed round, for the company right now, Reach Out, that we took public through Reg A, and we intend to list very soon here at like 50 cents a share. And I was asked by a larger, like, do you ever regret making that deal? I'm like, no, dude, I don't, because that's what I needed at the time. That's
Sure.
what the company was worth at the time.
Sure.
So you were there at the right time to help me through something. I realized that you need to make money and get return on your investment as well, and that's what I'm showing you, literally showing you right now. But then at the same, I'm like, do you want to put in more? I mean, I understand it's not as cheap as it was, but you could put in more right now, and we could go through this next journey together. Or you could just wait and liquidate, when we list on NASDAQ, whenever that is here in the next however many years. And like, but still, it's like, the right time to get in on an investment is always now. It's never to wait. And that's how I felt on this one. Because whether it crashes, it's only going to go one direction, right? You either win or lose. And I think when it comes to investments, you either really, really lose or you really, really win.
Yeah.
There's only two directions, and they're both pretty extreme.
At the end of the day, it's Yeah, are you comfortable losing 10 grand if you've got an
That's it.
extra 10 grand lying around?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Now
Yeah.
that 15, I was making a lot less money when I did that, and that because that was, geez, maybe a decade ago now, I think, when I did that, and it was that was like all the sins, if I could look at it that way. Because I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, this guy's been in business for 15 years. He's got a great customer list, at least the size of it and everything, like the number. It's like I could get into all these accounts. It's going to be an easy transition because I've been friends with this guy for so long. This is my big break right here. And it was everything. It was very, very much monetary based.
Hmm. So it
And
wasn't necessarily focused on like helping people. It was more of like the
not at
cash.
all. Exactly. I just saw it as like a something right in front of
You
me that's
you
like,
you greedy man, you.
in that
I'm just
moment,
I'm just
yeah. I mean, I don't, maybe that's an extreme word, but it was all
I'm
it
just
was
kidding.
money. That's
Yeah,
all I looked at it as, was money. Even like when I said, it's like, hey, I can help you out. It's like, that was not even my primary reason. And I learned a big lesson through that when I was, because I could have done it to help my friend. I could have just even given him the $15,000 to help him rather than being like, I want your company.
sure,
Like, I give this to you. So, but
sure.
it turned, yeah. So, I mean, that was it. It's like, lost every bit of it, including the energy that I put into it.
Oh well. Oh well. That sucks.
Yeah, it did.
But it
But
sounds
now
like
it's like,
you learned something from it though.
completely. And that's what drives what I do right now, man, is like, one of my pillars in doing this public roll up is creating wealth for everybody involved. Like, that is literally one of the three reasons for all the stress that I decide to take on in this whole thing, is it's for everybody else. And I look at myself as like a byproduct of benefiting from it, because I know that everything great is going to happen to me because I'm trying to do great things for everybody else. It's like the last one
Amen.
last year. I've gone from 10K on investments to the last big acquisition I did was 6.6 million. That's a big difference, bro. When you look at that, and it's like for the sellers, it's like I'm trying to even generate them. It's like I laid out for them, like, I want to see you, in 10 years at this 6.6, because the way I structure these, it's not the ending when the transaction closes, because of the stock that's in the company. And it's almost like a second bite of the apple. And their potential earnings, because their business was worth like the 6.6 million. However, their potential earnings off the whole deal, off of the investment that I put into this thing, will be, like minimum maybe 14 million 10 years from now. So it's pretty
That
amazing
doesn't
because
suck.
exactly. So it's like I'm doing this, I'm investing this, but at the same time, it is legitimately to build things for others. And it's like I'm just a steward and a responsible party for this platform.
That part, that right there, the redemption of what you're up to now is a lot bigger than what you were up to.
Yeah.
Could you describe the feeling behind it? Could you describe like how you got into it, what like how you feel about it like on a day-to-day basis so that the folks who do want the people who do listen who want to imagine themselves in your position or some similar position can start to understand those feelings of hey look I made those mistakes I made those failures I own those failures I am now feeling this way and I am imagining this thing happening therefore I'm allowing these new great abundant things to happen in my life too.
Yeah, you bet, man. I can compare it strictly to this, almost as how I viewed the business. Because back then, I was looking at what I was doing just as creating a lifestyle for myself. Simple as that. And
Lifestyle.
now, exactly. And I know there's a lot of people that invest for that reason. Just open Instagram. You'll see everybody on there. Hey, make it easy for you, right? Build this Amazon store, and you can make seven figures a year. Just by doing these three things. And it's like that. It's all so monetary driven without any kind of purpose whatsoever besides yourself. And all that's being pitched on all these things is lifestyle. And that's what I was living. I was making a good living for myself to provide for my family. And that's all I ever saw, really, even though I was still very generous in donations, in supporting different causes. But still, that was just like all the revenue and income that I produced was really just stopping with me. That's it. And then there was a shift that took place where I'm like, this is kind of dumb. I think because really can help a lot of people, I can see the potential for this. And once I started trying to focus on generational wealth, not just for me and my family, my kids' kids, my great grandchildren, and I started focusing on, I think I can do this for a lot of people. I think I can do this for hundreds of people who could get involved in something like this. And that's what started to really, I mean, it's almost like, not saying I was the Grinch because I've always been a pretty decent guy, but it's like, how like all of a sudden, if you've ever seen the Grinch, it's like all of a sudden his heart like starts exploding out of his chest because he starts thinking literally about everybody else. And that's how this thing started to snowball. And then once that happened, whether you believe in God, the universe, a source, some kind of ethereal thing, whatever, I just think it's a function of how all of this stuff was created by any one of those. And that when you have the right focus, you'll start to see things come back to you.
So once you get the focus off of you, that's when the focus comes to you.
Bingo.
But what does that feel like?
Dude, it's the best ever. It is. It's the reason why I'm up in the morning. It's the reason why I put in the long hours. And I don't see this ever stopping. I even see people like, oh, I can't wait to retire, and that's like, man, that's such a small life. And if they're just like I just want to go mow a lawn someday. I want to put in my time and then go cut some grass or something like that, when I'm 65. I put in my time. What did you put in your time to? What would you put it into? Did you just put it into a line, which means that you're just, putting a roof over your head, which is good by all means. I will never knock somebody for providing for their family, but we're meant for so much more and so much more of an influence. I think everybody on this planet is an influencer. We just choose to be or choose not to be.
Everybody's an influencer. Huh.
Yeah.
I like what you said about building generational wealth for other people. For the future investors who are listening, or for the investors who are currently listening, or just current investors, what would you recommend stepwise, actionable stepwise, for them to make to create a more humble environment for people, one that is not so greedy, one that we don't envy other people of their deals, where we can actually collaborate together and be good partners. What would you say to people who are struggling through trying to find that purpose? What's a step? What's a good step?
Yeah. Always try to find something else you can do for someone else. Yeah, so when I mean, some people might say lead with value, but it has to become an actionable step. And it's so easy to tag this at the end. I mean, in any new connection that you make, you always ask this question. It's like, okay, that's great. We talked about all this stuff because everybody likes to talk about themselves, right? It's like before I leave you, right? How can I help you? What's going on right now that you need help with? Just give me one thing. And it's key because like never leave it open ended. Like, how can it, let me know if there's anything I can do for you. Nothing like that. Those action words, those really like activation words of now or today, tag that at the end of your sentence. Like, how can I help you now? What's
So
one thing that you're struggling with today?
so help.
Yeah.
So
It's
help other
bringing it's
people.
bringing them value. But it's being curious about how to help other people. Because you might not be able to help them, but remember everybody's an influencer, right? I cannot do everything that everybody says that they could use my help with. They think that I can, right? Because I mean, I've got a great show, I'm on the media, I have a public company, all of that stuff, but I'm still a freaking human. I don't have endless skill sets, but I know plenty of people that could help these individuals with one specific thing. So even if it's just a connection point,
Yeah,
like,
like
how
a
can I help you today? Well, I'm trying to do, well, you know what? That's not in my wheelhouse, but I got him or I know her. Can I connect you to? And then follow up with me because let me know how that goes.
well, this actually brings me to one of my final questions because I know we've got a hard out because I missed my half hour.
It's all good, man.
Seriously, I apologize for those who didn't hear at the beginning. I don't think I pushed record early enough. I was messaging Rick, and Rick was like, "Yeah, I can do 2 p.m. at Pacific Standard." I'm like, "Great, 4:30 Central. I'll see you there." Totally missed the time, so I was a half hour late, and I apologize for that. So, before wrapping up, I do want to figure out if that's the case.
Yeah.
Uh, what can people do for you? How can they help you? If there's somebody hears this episode and they vibe with you, they've got cash, they've got coin, or they want to get involved with what you're up to. Well, first of
Yeah.
all, what are you up to? And how can we help you?
I appreciate that. It's really easy. Follow me and share my content. I mean that's it. Because if you're doing that, you're going to stay up to date with everything that I am and what I'm doing. And then the second thing, if you share my content, you'll be able to connect me with a lot of other people that I can help too. You know, and maybe just by doing that, you can help them. I tend to be a pretty uplifting dude, pretty inspirational dude, and I like that.
No.
No, not at all. I know, right? I love walking into rooms and be like, oh my gosh, this is your like reputation precedes you. And I was just hearing this the other day. Or like if I'm at a restaurant, and I'm with somebody at the restaurant, I go to the washroom. This literally happened like a week ago. Like, hey, is that gentleman that you're with? Does he host a podcast? And like, well, yeah. It's like I don't mean to be a fanboy, but I follow him and I love his stuff. And so it's like, and I hear this coming back. It's like that's the impact. It's like your activity is the best activity when you can feel it. Yeah, and that's what I mean. So if it's marketing, branding, sales, whatever it is, they're always the best when you can feel them, and you feel them in those moments. So it's simple. It's just follow me and share my content. Because then
Follow
you'll find
Rick
out
and
things.
share Rick's content.
Yep, all the time. Then you'll find out that I've got a company that I'm taking fully public. I'm doing acquisitions. I'm trying to build generational wealth. I'm trying to protect our country with cybersecurity. It's just a lot of things.
That we'll have to probably do another time because
Yeah, I'm in.
there are some massive questions that I've got for that. You know me with my endless list of questions.
Yep. I love it.
Well, for those of you who don't know who Rick Jordan is, hopefully now you've got a little taste, and you get to go and study up on his content and follow him. Rick Jordan, everybody.
For
Investor
having me.
Hell. Yeah, of course, man. Absolutely. Are you kidding? This was a fun thing. So, and thank you for watching Investor Hell. I don't know if I got anything else, man.
Awesome, dude. I appreciate that.
I love how you just go balls deep into like immediately. I was like, oh, okay, all right, cool. Well, forget how we run the show. I just want to hear your stories then. I only got a half hour. Let's do this.
Thanks, dude. I've gotten very intentional with my time and it works well that way. It's like, let's just get down to it. Let's go.
That's right. Let's get to it.